Everyone wants to always have lots of energy and feel their best, of course, but with so many things in the modern world that actually drain our energy every day, that's not easy to do. So in this video, I'm going to show you 3 of my holistic health secrets to always have energy. Now be sure to watch the whole thing because the 3rd tip is going to show you how to energize yourself when nothing else works. So if you're a man, the best thing you can do to have more energy is to have optimal health and optimal testosterone levels. But pretty much all of my videos are about how I quadrupled my testosterone and how I help my clients to double or triple their own levels. So in this video, I'm going to give you some energy secrets that aren't connected to testosterone, and they'll work whether you're a man or a woman. My #1 secret to always having energy is to cycle caffeine. Now, cycling caffeine means that you're going to use a limited amount on some days, and you won't use it at all on other days. Now, stay with me here. So when you do this, when you cycle caffeine correctly, it keeps you from getting addicted to the caffeine, and it keeps your body from adapting to that caffeine addiction. Because when we adapt to caffeine, it massively lowers our baseline energy levels. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're not addicted to coffee. No, you just love that ritual of having a cup of coffee every morning. Okay, 2 cups every morning and then maybe 1 more cup at lunchtime. Well, I'm sorry to be the one to give you the bad news, but if you have coffee every single day, then you have at least some level of caffeine addiction. And that means that you don't have optimal energy levels. Now stay with me here, because you're probably thinking, but Cameron, my energy levels are fine as long as I have my coffee. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So here's the deal. Caffeine doesn't actually give us energy. The reason that it makes us feel more energized is because caffeine displaces a chemical in our brain called adenosine. And so when the receptors in our brain are full of adenosine, we feel sleepy. Now that's a good thing at night because that helps regulate our natural sleep cycle. And when we drink coffee, the caffeine comes in and it blocks the adenosine from binding to the receptors in our brain. So instead of feeling tired or lethargic, we get a release of energizing chemicals from our brain like norepinephrine and dopamine. And so those chemicals make us feel really good, and that's why coffee is such an enjoyable habit. But our bodies are amazing adaptation machines, and they're really good at adapting to stimulants. So our body adapts to regular caffeine use by creating more receptors for adenosine in our brain. And that means we have more parking spots, basically, for the adenosine to dock into. And over time, that makes us feel less and less energized because we have more adenosine in our brain. It's parking in those docks, those receptors. And that leads us to needing more and more caffeine just to feel normal and needing a lot of caffeine to actually get any kind of meaningful buzz from it. So the secret here is to cycle caffeine, which means that you do not want to use it every day. In fact, if you've been drinking coffee every day and you want to be able to cycle it effectively, then you need to wean yourself off of caffeine slowly and then take 4 weeks off from it completely. Now, yeah, I know you hate me right now for saying that, but if you can actually muster the discipline to stop drinking caffeine for 4 weeks, it will seriously change your life. So after just a few days off of coffee, your brain is going to start pruning back its adenosine receptors. That means there's going to be fewer of those docking stations for that adenosine in your brain. And that means you're going to start having more energy naturally. Once you've made it to 2 weeks, you'll probably notice that you're going to have more energy than you used to have after 1 or even 2 cups of coffee. When you make it to 4 weeks, your brain will have completely reset its adenosine receptors back to baseline levels. And you just might feel like a new person because of all the natural energy that you have. But here's where things get even better, because your body's going to have no tolerance to caffeine at all, which is great, because that means that you can use coffee like rocket fuel and use it to supercharge your highest output days. So just 1 or 1.5 cups of coffee is going to give you a huge energy boost that'll last throughout your day, and you won't have an energy crash when it wears off. But for this to work, you need to keep some general caffeine use tips in mind. So first, don't drink coffee on an empty stomach because that can irritate and even inflame your digestive tract. So start eating your breakfast before you start sipping your coffee. That's going to help keep your stomach and your intestines happy, and it's going to slow down how fast that caffeine hits your system, which is actually a good thing because you won't have any caffeine tolerance if you're cycling it correctly. So you want food to slow down that absorption of caffeine because that's going to give you a more sustained energy release throughout your day. The next tip is to be sure to finish drinking your coffee by about 9:30 a.m. And the reason for this is that coffee has what's called a half-life of 5 hours. So every 5 hours, you have half as much of that substance in your body as you did to start with. And it takes 5 half-lives for a substance to be almost completely removed from your body. So all of that jargon just means that by the time you go to bed, there's still going to be some caffeine in your system having some kind of effect on your body, even if it's really mild. Now, you might not notice anything, but it can potentially keep you from getting into deep sleep in the early part of your night. So just make sure you're done drinking your coffee by 9:30 and you're going to minimize that problem. Finally, you want to avoid drinking coffee 2 days in a row so that your brain won't start adapting to it. And yeah, the adaptation process can actually start that fast because our bodies are amazing adaptation machines. But you can have coffee 3 times a week, and you can have as much as 1.5 cups of coffee every morning on those days. And your brain won't start adapting and building new adenosine receptors if you stay under that threshold. So one of the keys to cycling caffeine is just making sure that you have a 1-day rest in between the days that you use caffeine so that you don't start building a tolerance for it. Now, if for some reason you do have to have caffeine for 2 days in a row, let's say you used it one day and then that night your sleep got messed up because your dog wouldn't stop barking or your neighbor's dog or whatever it is, and you wake up and you're tired and you say to yourself, well, okay, I'm going to have caffeine another day, 2 days in a row. That can be okay, but what you need to do to get back to baseline is just skip 2 days in a row of coffee. So that's going to let your system balance out. So you'll still be having the same amount of caffeine in a 7-day period. So if you can learn to actually cycle caffeine correctly, you're going to have a huge amount of energy on the days you have coffee, and you'll still have plenty of energies on the day that you don't drink coffee too, because your brain won't be full of adenosine receptors. Also, if you're a coffee fiend and you hated everything that I just said, be sure to leave a comment and let me know. Now, secret number 2 to always having energy is to walk at least 8,000 steps a day. So walking every day is a non-negotiable if you want to have high energy, and as a man, if you want to have high testosterone levels. It's the most basic level of exercise, and we have to do it as much as we can fit into our day. Again, this is a non-negotiable. This isn't just, oh, it's a good thing to do, it's a nice thing, you should probably do it. You have to do it. So sitting all day tells your body that you don't need to be strong enough to even stand up and walk around, and that's going to give you lower energy levels, and if you're a man, it's going to lead to lower testosterone levels. So remember how I said that our bodies are amazing adaptation machines? Well, our bodies also adapt to what we don't do. So if we're not even standing or walking during the day, our bodies are going to adapt to that, and the adaptation isn't what we want. It's low energy, it's low muscle strength, and it's low testosterone for men. So to start having more energy right now, all you have to do is go outside and take a walk. In fact, if you're watching this video on your phone, just go take a walk while you listen to the rest of it. You can thank me later. Also, whenever you want to take a break during your day, just take a walk instead of going to sit in some other place than sitting at your desk. Another great way to improve your energy levels is to walk for at least 10 minutes after your meals 3 times a day. Now, if you have to be inside and walk on a treadmill because of the weather, that's still better than just sitting, but being outside and walking is always going to be better for you. Also, you should break up the time that you spend sitting by taking a quick little 5-minute walk wherever you can squeeze it in, just throughout the day. And if you get tired at any point during your day, take a nice, brisk 15-minute walk instead of just sitting there at your desk and fighting to stay awake. Just that little bit of exercise will actually give you energy. Now, if you want to use a step counter, like I said, a good goal is to walk at least 8,000 steps a day, but just start right now, wherever you're at, just do what you can do, and then work your way up over time. And I guarantee that if you're consistent with walking more, you will absolutely have more energy. Now, secret number 3 to always having energy is to learn how to take a power nap when you really need one. So even if you optimize everything that you can, sometimes things are just going to happen that make you lose too much sleep, like the dog barking. And the next day, you're just tired. And so if that happens on a day where you know you shouldn't be having coffee, then you're going to need some way to deal with that lack of sleep. Now, the first thing to try is to actually just walk more, like I already mentioned. But if more walking isn't enough to get your brain awake, then you might need to take a midday nap. Now, if that's the case, you should make it a power nap. And that means you're sleeping for 20 minutes or 30 minutes at the most. Now, you want to keep that nap short, though, because if you sleep too long, you're going to end up going into deep sleep. And then that's going to make you feel groggy and weird when you wake up. I'm sure you've had that experience. You slept for an hour, you woke up, and you just didn't feel right the rest of the day. So we want to avoid that by just keeping it short. And the easiest way to do that is you set a timer for 30 minutes, and that's going to work great as long as you can feel pretty certain that you'll fall asleep within about 10 minutes. Now, another thing that can help keep that nap short is to sleep on your back with your upper body propped up a little bit. And the reason that helps is that position tends to make most people only sleep for a short amount of time. So So that's gonna help keep you from sleeping too long and keep you from going into that deep sleep state. Now, a couch can work pretty well for this, depending on the kinds of cushions and if you have a pillow or two available to work with. Or a recliner could be another good option, just depends on how it all fits your body. But the thing is that propping up your upper body doesn't work for everyone. So just to be safe, you're gonna wanna set that timer too. So if you do the power nap correctly and you only sleep for 20 or 30 minutes, when you wake up, your brain's gonna feel refreshed. You won't feel groggy for more than a few minutes. And you can take a quick walk after that power nap. And if you do all of that, your mental focus and your energy levels should be in pretty good shape for the rest of the day. So now that you know these 3 secrets to always have energy, here's a video on how to naturally double or even triple your testosterone levels. And it has information you're absolutely gonna need, so be sure to check it out.